Would Nigel Farage be a better rival to Keir Starmer? 0207 862 2222 is the number. Now, writing in the Telegraph, Farage has said that his Reform Party is the only one that can legitimately oppose Labour's socialist agenda. That's after the collapse of the Conservatives at the last election. Now, Tory leadership candidate Robert Jenrick, however, very much disagrees. He said yesterday that the party can make reform redundant and actually retire Farage by winning back trust on issues such as immigration. Belinda, what do you say to that?
Well, I think it is essential for democracy to have a very good opposition that can hold Labour to account. How on earth can the Tories hold Labour to account when they agree on so many things? Big state, big debt, big tax, mass immigration, the lunacy of net zero. The two, there's not a paper shed between them. You know, they are so similar. So they actually can't effectively be an opposition. And actually, whether you have Jenrick or Badenoch in as leader, who are seen as more right-wing, they're going to be referees over two separate parties. The infighting in the Tory party is still going to be as big a problem. Whoever is driving that car, the vehicle is kaput. And so for reform, we have strong policies. We are opposing the policies as opposed to Tories mostly agreeing with Labour on the big things. And I think it's really important that the country has a chance to hear a party hold Labour to account, question it, scrutinise it and offer a different path.
Well, I mean,
the Tories are not offering that much of a different path to what Labour's doing.
We did have an election and we did hear from Reform and they only got 5 MPs.
Now, you say that. We are a new party. This was a miracle. This is an incredible achievement for a brand new party, only a few years old, suddenly given 6 weeks to prepare for an election. We got 5 MPs in first past the post. It's amazing. Think what we can do in 5 years. I think it's 4 million votes. We got more votes than the Liberal Democrats. We have so much momentum at the moment. I think it's really exciting times. Thank God the country has a choice apart from the uni party, the Tories and Labour.
What do you think, Marvyn?
With every version of the Tory plus party that seems to sit on the right-hand side of the Conservatives, whether it's BNP, UKIP, Brexit, or whatever this one is called, Reform, it's the exact same outcome. They come in waves, they make a lot of noise, they deliver not very much. I think Nigel Farage should really focus on turning up to his surgeries.
With 5 MPs,
well, then you must turn up to your surgeries and represent your constituency as a 1.0 of the work that you're doing. To stand there and say that you are going to be the opposition when we literally just 10 weeks ago had an election and the democratic process has spoken as to what it is that they would like, and they have rejected, on large, the mandate of whatever it is that you're doing. And by the way, your party has no record, or anyone in your party has no record of successfully delivering a single idea that they have put into the public domain.
Nigel Farage,
and so he turns up, he makes a lot of noise, and as far as I understand, their version of Brexit has not been delivered. Nobody's vision of Brexit has been delivered, and everyone else that wanted Remain is now sitting here impacted by whatever was created by our noisy neighbours over here.
OK, but let's look at what this would mean in practice. Let's look at Prime Minister's questions, for example. Do you think that Rishi Sunak can hold Keir Starmer, bearing in mind that he's on his way out, can hold Keir Starmer to account in the same way that a character like Nigel Farage could?
Absolutely. And by the way, he has space and time at the dispatch box to ask questions. He's not sitting there in the rafters. He is available to create comment. And he goes around and gets a significant amount of support with the media to whatever he says becomes core news every single time. But that doesn't mean that you are the opposition. You are not qualified and you are not rightly put there. As far as I'm concerned, is that all I see him as is a huge mouthpiece that creates distortion in the conversation. And the biggest identifier of that is when words like woke, socialism, communism is used, saying that the Tory and Labour Party are the same. It's just complete idea of like them being the separate real people party.
Can I just
but they
take
benefit,
one thing?
and he earns so much more money than the average person. It's an insult to the average person to say
hold on, then
we
you
are
say
the same.
Yeah, the same about
Absolutely,
so.
absolutely. But if you're going to say you're different and you're special and you are representing those people while earning that much money, as far as I'm concerned, it's an absolute farce.
Difference,
and there's no evidence that it's going to be remotely successful.
Nigel Farage has over all the other parties. Nigel Farage has the courage of his conviction for decades. He has had the same message. He hasn't flip-flopped, U-turned, he hasn't promised stuff that he can't deliver.
Brexit.
He has stuck to the same message. You know what? You say that. You know full well Nigel Farage has had the most impact on politics, far more than any other
In a negative way, or worse off.
Sorry, a country self-determining its own laws, only someone who has allegiances elsewhere would think that's a bad thing.
We were at the King's table.
Sorry.
We were at the King's table organising Europe, and now we are an island. We're an island. We're a lonely island complaining about everything.
Are you kidding? Listen, we can. I'm not talking about Brexit. Let's talk about Nigel Farage. People are crying out for a politician with ideology, with courage of their conviction, who stuck to the same message.
What is his ideology?
Stop interrupting.
What is his ideology?
Who doesn't lie to get into power. Keir and the Tories, they have all fibbed, and they all sell you a party and promises that don't exist. People are fed up with it. Nigel is the true hero, as are all the MPs,
Nigel
and they will stick to the message.
To be fair, hasn't had to U-turn on anything because he hasn't had to implement anything. But Julie from Kent, would you like to see Nigel Farage at Prime Minister's questions?
I think he's an awful man, personally.
An awful man?
I think, yes, I personally do think that.
What
I know it's not a nice thing. It's not a nice thing to say.
You don't always have to be nice. So what makes you think he is a horrible person?
Because he has used the democracy process to get into being an MP. Where is he? He's not representing his constituents.
I see.
He's not going and talking to them now that he's got elected. Where is he? Oh, yes, he's going to America and being with Donald Trump. I think he's abused the democracy system.
Well, he's certainly got
I
other jobs, Julie, but Belinda would disagree with you here.
Yes, he does go to Clacton. He spends a lot of time actually around the people of Clacton. I was out campaigning, helping, win this with others, helping win this.
He hasn't done any face-to-face.
But the reason is, when you're a leader of a party, you have more commitments. You'd have it with Labour, Tory party. The leaders often have far more on than other normal MPs, so they have other places to go. But he does go to Clacton. It's wrong to say that he doesn't. And in terms of attending surgery as much, the threats on Nigel Farage, as opposed to other MPs, he's been advised that face-to-face is, has higher risk for him than others.
He hasn't been advised.
But either way, Nigel Farage has never, ever gone back on his message. And I think to trust the Tory and the Labour Party, got Stockholm syndrome or something. There has to be a man that puts the British people and our interests first, unlike the other two parties who sell us out to peacock on the international stage.
OK, Julie, thank you so much for your call. Carol from Greater Manchester, how would you feel about Nigel Farage being the one that holds Keir Starmer to account?
Well, I just, it's my own thing, really. It is my own thoughts. I just think Nigel Farage might be different than Tory and Labour. They just constantly battle against each other, and you get lies. You literally get lies. I've had problems many a time with my Labour council. Still a little things that you go to your council for, so school runs, people parking on the pavement, trying to get the safety of the children.
Okay.
And
do you think, Carol, I'm only going to stop you there, because as interesting as it is when you talk about how much you fight with the council, because I think a lot of people do, we're talking about Nigel Farage here. Nigel Farage hasn't done any face-to-face clinics with his constituents in Clacton. Do you think Nigel Farage is going to bother about the school runs in Greater Manchester?
You never know. He may do. What I'm saying is, he may have different ideas of how to run the country other than the Tory and the Labour that are fighting against each other and not getting anywhere. he may decide
just
that
to
not
clear
to
that point up as
sign
well,
up.
because it seems like you're saying different things here. You're saying on one hand, Tory and Labour are constantly fighting with each other and they're disagreeing. On the other hand, you're saying that you want something different. Well, it sounds like you've already got a party that disagrees with the party that's in power. So what would be the difference with reform to the Conservatives if you're looking for somebody to combat Labour?
Well, they may not. Nigel Farage to me, seems like the better idea at the moment. There's things like, I've said, the immigrants that are coming in. Yeah, they're coming in because of problems in their own country.
Okay.
Why can we not sort their country out?
Why can we not sort their country out?
Yeah, why, instead of bringing them in, they're taking up a lot of resources.
Oh, I think that might be overstepping the mark somewhat, and I don't think other countries would be very happy about it. Traditionally, when we've went in and tried to sort other countries out in the past, it hasn't ended up that well for us. But Carol, thank you very much for your call. Actually, thank you for all your calls on this.